Hello and welcome to this tech snip where I will show you how to install Amazon Web Services command line interface. So the first step is to install the MSI. I'm installing it to the default location. Now that's installed, I'm going to open PowerShell and just check that it's installed correctly. We have a command that we can use called AWS --. So everything you do in the CLI will always start with AWS, which makes a call to the command line interface. And there you can see you get the version number of the CLI, the version number of Python, and it's running on a Windows 2012 server. So that's confirmed it's installed correctly. So the next step is we need to configure a user that we can use programmatically with this. The reason we do that is so that we can restrict access to that particular user. It's not advisable to use the root user as they have access to everything. So we will go into identity and access management in the AWS console and create a user with a set of credentials on this particular server. So from the console, we navigate to IAM. We'll click on users and then we'll click on add user. So I'm going to call my user AWS CLI user. And you'll see access type where I will give this user programmatic access. We're going to attach a policy. So you'll see there's a list of policies that are shown. I'm going to choose administrator access for this account, but you can look through all the other different policies. You can restrict the user just to manage EC2 instances or restrict it just to S3 or whatever service you want this particular role to do. So I'm quite happy with the way it's been set up, so I'll just click on create user. So as you'll see, we now have an access key and also a secret access key. These will be used for setting up our credentials. So in here we use the following command, AWS Configure. So we'll go back and grab our access key. And now we'll get this secret access key. So in the default region, I'm just using US East 1. And the default output format, I'm going to select JSON. You have three options here. It could be JSON, text, or a table. And that's our credential created. So we can test this by running a command that will query the AWS service. So this time I'm going to execute a command. I'm basically going to look at the service EC2 and I want it to execute a function called describe regions. And there you see the output in JSON. We're quite happy now that that is actually working. So we can have a look at the help system within AWS. Again, you just type AWS and then help. You can also ask for help on specific services. So let's have a look at AWS EC2 and we'll type help. And that shows you all the available commands you can run against EC2 instances. So we can actually drill down into that by looking at the service and then having a look at the action. So let's have a look at the create image. And there you go. Very comprehensive help system. So you may need to at some point remove credentials from a server. So to do this is fairly straightforward. All you have to do is actually delete the credential files from your user profile. So if we rerun AWS Configure, you'll actually see it's reading the existing entries from our credential files. So you can actually modify individual parts of those credentials if you need to change a region name or output format, that type of thing. If we now have a look in here, you'll see there's config and there's credentials. So to remove this, we just need to remove both of these items. If we now go back and execute AWS Configure, you'll see now it's going to create new credentials for us. So thank you for watching this snip.